Hi, Bobcat fans. I'm Bethany Cordell with Bobcat Athletics. I'm joined today with Leon Costello, our athletic director here at MSU. And welcome back to another edition of Dear Montana State. It's been a while since we've talked to you guys via video format, and certainly the first time we've done it virtually with Leon and myself, but we're excited to talk with you today. So let's go ahead and get started. Leon, how's the Costello family right now? I'm sure there's no shortage of excitement with 3 kids running around right now.
Surviving, I think, is the best way to say it. No, it's been good. We have activities that academic things we need to do during the day, especially in the mornings, and then little fun activities that we kind of do with them at night as well. But it's really been kind of fun and interesting, being at home and watching them kind of do their deal in their environment. And credit goes to Heather, though, for her organization and getting everything done as I'm sitting in, trying to sequester myself in a room and complete these meetings that we have via WebEx and Zoom and all these different methods that we have. And a lot of the times she's left with handling the excitement out in the other rooms, but we're managing. And I guess I would just say, I feel for everybody else that's out there that's going through this as well. Trying to cope and find ways to get through this time that we are in. And I also want to thank, obviously, all the frontline workers, the healthcare workers, everybody that's bringing us and enabling us to have all the essential items that we need in any given day. And so just a big heartfelt thank you to all those. And they truly are heroes and they truly are champions through this whole pandemic that we are dealing with.
I really like that. Yeah, like you said, it's a lot of adjusting to things that are new, and it's completely unprecedented, this entire situation. And none of us have really experienced anything like this before. What would you say this experience has been like for you and what you've learned so far?
I'm learning that I miss the small things. I miss walking up and down the halls to the coaches' offices, to our staff's offices, and just having conversations. I miss being able to gather in places, our favorite restaurants or establishments that are here in town, or even out in the neighborhood at the park and things like that. Just being together as people, which as an athletic department, we are so used to. I mean, this is our business, walking up and shaking hands and hugging and welcoming people to our venues, saying thank you. And now when you're having conversations, you're trying to keep that 6-foot distance. And sometimes it just feels really awkward, because I'm not used to doing that. If I would see that normally, I'd be like, why are they standing away from me? And it's just naturally not how I've communicated. And so learning to adjust with all the new norms. And also I'm learning as an older person in our department that technology is not always the enemy. Technology can be your friend. And we are learning that through new methods of technology that we can communicate rather well. And we can, as a department, we can get information to our people in many, many different ways. And I think we are all finding those different ways in which we can communicate with our fans, with our donors, with university personnel, with our employees and our staff and our coaches and student athletes. So I'm adjusting to the new norm of technology is pretty friendly at most times.
I like that a lot. You touched on it quite a bit, but what adjustments specifically to your work routine have you made? Because I'm always interested when I'm talking to people, how they've adjusted to working from home. And like you said, the ability to not be able to physically interact with our fans and our student athletes and our coaches right now is so drastically different. So what are the things that you have made to your day?
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing, is not being able to walk down the halls and see student athletes, go to the weight room or the training room or the fueling station and see clusters of student athletes and be able to say hi and ask them how they're doing, walk into coaches' offices or our staff's offices. And if there's an issue, you're trying to, make a decision, you're doing that, or if it's just to have a conversation. So adjusting to putting myself in a room that's halfway quiet, one where the internet works and the lighting's, trying to do all those things to communicate with people, is different. And so now that I spend 6 to 7 hours in front of the screen pretty much every day on meetings, it's just new. I don't know how to describe it. It's something that I hope we can do right now but not have to do for a long time in the future, because I would really like to get back to conducting our business the way that we've always done it, and that's more personal than on a screen. But it's also good to fall back and know that we have mechanisms in place that we can still continue to move our department forward with the technology that at our hands.
Obviously, the priority of our athletic department is and always has been the well-being of our student athletes. That probably looks a little bit different these days, but that mission hasn't changed. How are we adapting how we're working with our student athletes right now?
Yeah, it's we're spending a lot of time getting information into their hands and getting the right information and getting it to them in a timely fashion. And for us, it's a lot of emails. We know that student athletes absorb their information in many different ways. There are a lot of different social media platforms. There are a lot of different methods and mechanics that they use to get their information. And so we're really relying on the coaches. We're sending emails to them with university, with NCAA and Big Sky Conference information. And then we're telling our coaches, hey, we just sent student athletes a message. Can you make sure that they read their email? Because it's an important message from the department about something right now in their email. And we know the coaches do a great job of connecting with the student athletes. They're continuing that, obviously, just in different ways. And we rely on them. And then we get feedback, from the student athletes and through our multiple channels and our support areas, whether it be, athletic training and our academic services, our coaches. They might even reach out to us. And then as we get some of those questions, then we compile those and then get information right back out to them. And so I would say, we're sending probably information to our student athletes more now because we don't see them every day. And we're just using the information and the tools at our fingertips to be able to get that to them. And also maybe over communicating to them and telling our coaches, hey, make sure you tell your student athletes that you received an email from the department, when a student athlete might have already seen it. But we just want to make sure that as many of our 350 or so student athletes see the information that we are sending out. But it's just different. This virtual world is different. I know they're used to it a lot more than somebody like I am, and I'm adjusting to it. But I think for them, it's probably something that they're quite used to, because I think they use this technology every single day. And I will say this: we are conducting an all student athlete WebEx on Thursday, and it's going to be interesting to see how many of them can join us at a given time. But then the interaction between us and them, and the questions that they're going to have about any changes or what's coming up. I think it's going to be real interesting to see them on a screen and ask the question how they are doing, and then really get information from us. Hey, what can we do more, or what can we do better? What do you need from us in order to support some of the decisions that are being made by them?
Obviously, there's so many unknowns with this situation. Everything's changing from day to day, but the one thing we do know is that COVID-19 will have an impact on our budget as an athletic department. Obviously, we can't predict the future, but we do know that it will have an impact. Can you talk a little bit about where we're at right now with that?
Yeah, and I think when we're looking at our budget here right now is trying to get to the end of the fiscal year, and so which is June 30th here of this year. And when we look at, and it's been publicly recognized that with the NCAA basketball tournament being canceled, the distribution from that tournament is going to be less, and we are expecting between about a quarter and maybe a half of what we had budgeted here for this year. And so we're taking a look at what does that mean for our budget right now, and how can we hopefully minimize the effects and the impacts on our student athletes and our programs to hopefully absorb a majority of that cut. And then it's looking out to the future and saying, okay, how do we map this out? And I think there's probably 3 scenarios we have to map out. We have to look at having a full year of all of our athletics in full seasons starting here in the fall. That's one budget. I think we have to look at maybe a partial fall season and then maybe everything else in full season. And then in no fall season. We don't even want to think about the second one or the third one, and really even the second one. I think we're moving forward with, we're going to have a full fall season, and that's going to lead into a great winter and a great spring as well. But we are taking a look at what that looks like in those 3 different scenarios for our budget, and how what the direct impacts would be, and trying to minimize those effects on 1, student athletes and their scholarships, 2, being personnel, and how do we take care of the personnel that we have in our department, and 3, how do we just continue to move move forward as a department, knowing that this is out there. And so it's a work in progress. It's very fluid, but we're in a great place, and we've done a good job for a long time of managing our funds and using our funds to support our student athletes. And all of our decisions from now will still have the student athletes at heart, and we'll make sure that that continues.
I like that a lot. I'm going to back up for a second to the start of all of this craziness with the cancellation of the Big Sky Conference basketball tournament halfway through, same with the NCAA ski championships, and then ultimately the cancellation of our spring seasons. I'd definitely be fascinated to hear, and I know our fans are too, what some of those conversations were at that point, before we really knew how serious this was and how this was going to impact athletics directly.
Yeah, it takes me back to, my hotel room in Boise. And as you're starting to hear some of the conferences coming out with finishing the tournament with no fans. Then we heard that Dayton, which is the host site of the first four, that they were going to host the first round of the NCAA tournament basically with no fans. And then more conferences started doing that. And then I think it was the Ivy League that came out and said that they were just going to stop. And then all of a sudden you saw kind of the trickle down effect of that. And, talking to the coaches and, obviously they had questions. Is this going to continue? What's going to go on? We had some fans that were asking, are we going to be allowed in the arena? And everything that we had heard up to that point was yes. Like, we were still going to continue. We were still going to move on. And then, come, what was that? Thursday morning is when Wednesday night into Thursday morning is when it really turned. And Thursday morning, you saw, the Big Ten and the SEC and the ACC and all those major conferences start to cancel their tournaments and actually pull teams off the court. Our presidents happened to be in a presidential meeting at the conference tournament at that time, ironically. And so their discussion was about that, about can we proceed with no fans in the arena, or do we have to cancel it? And I think for the safety and well-being of our fans and our student athletes and our coaches, they made the best decision that they could, given the information that they had. And then from there, those conversations, as I was watching this, I was calling Dan Davies, pretty much every day, just saying, what have you heard from the NCAA with the ski championships? Are you still go? And every time it was yes, yes, and yes. And then after we had canceled the Big Sky Conference tournament, I think it was later that day that Dan had said they received a call from the NCAA, and then it was that afternoon that they had canceled. I believe the spring sports, after that and competitions. And so it didn't take very long after that. And then I think the initial shock, was there for everybody. And it's like, what are we going to do? What is this going to look like? And then as we have gone through a few weeks, we have met with the Big Sky ADs, with the Big Sky office, reviewing NCAA information. And I can tell you that, one, we are in very good hands with our conference office, with our Big Sky presidents and the Big Sky ADs. Sitting around the table, I feel very fortunate to be around colleagues that have the same kind of values that we have, and really truly wanting to help our student athletes in our programs, and really try and maintain our staff. But how do we make the best possible decisions as a conference for all these institutions moving forward? And we kind of, our schools kind of at the door, and we can walk into these stations with, let's lay everything on the table. Let's see where everything lands, and let's make the best possible decisions moving forward. And that's kind of where we've continued on. We just had one today, and those conversations are ongoing. How are we dealing with today? But then also trying to look into the future and say, how do we deal with tomorrow? And the next day, the next week, the next month. And like I said, I've been very fortunate that we are in pretty good hands. The people we have around us that are supporting us, and we're going to get through this. The one thing I can say is we're stronger together, and we are going to get through this together.
So obviously, we, being Bobcat family, our friends, student athletes, coaches, everybody's really excited to break ground on the Bobcat Athletic Complex. Obviously, with the changing of timelines and with everything that's going on, everything's a little fluid right now. Can you give us an update on how you see this project unfolding in the coming weeks and months?
Yeah, I think, some really good news from a state perspective is that Governor Bullock has deemed construction within the state as essential, and I think that's for us it's vitally important as we continue our growth as a campus and as a department. We'll continue to see construction projects moving forward on campus, and you'll see them in throughout our community here in Bozeman and throughout the state, which I think that is great for the state. And it's no different with our project either. As we continue the growth of our athletic program, getting that project started is important for many reasons. And I can say, yeah, we've had many conversations about how this this virus and this pandemic could affect the construction since it hasn't started yet. But everybody's on the same page and moving this thing forward. And I think for us, that's great news. And so I think over the course of this month, we'll be finalizing contracts and paperwork and everything that we need to in order to break ground. And then here, towards the latter part of this month and early part of hopefully May, we'll see some machinery over there moving some dirt and people getting dirty. And I think that'll be a great sign as we try and continue to look for kind of our new normal and get out of this kind of pandemic situation that we're in and look towards some hope and hopefully enjoying a good and fruitful summer, but also a good and fruitful fall season as we get ready and prepare for a new academic year and also a new athletic year. But yeah, we're looking forward to getting that project started. And I can see here the rest of this month and early part of May is we should start to see a lot of things moving in that direction.
Oh, that's exciting. I can't wait. You hit the nail on the head a couple sentences ago about a new normal. Obviously, we're all anxious to get on the other side of this, but we are where we are right now. So as our athletic director and leader of the athletic department, can you talk about your approach to culture and morale right now?
Yeah, I think it's, as we talked earlier, it's about communication, right? And it's about staying engaged and making sure check-ins and people are doing okay. And everybody handles these situations a little bit differently. And, as we walk up and down the hallways and talk to people, now it's pick up the phone or text or get a Zoom call like we're doing right here and make sure that people are doing okay. And also I think it's allowed us to kind of refocus on how are we, you in particular on the external side, how are we going to brand Bobcat Athletics? What sort of information can we get out to our fans? Because I know our fans are sitting on the other end, not wanting to stop their consumption of Bobcat athletic information and Bobcat athletic news. And I'm really proud of the way our external team has put together a plan and is feeding kind of feeding the beast, if you will, and feeding our fans the information, more of kind of the self-interest stories and some of the behind the scenes and behind the curtain looks at our student athletes and our coaches and our programs and how they operate when games are not going on. And I truly enjoy those. And there was, we had some information that came out today about the Big Sky Academic Awards and having 59 of our student athletes on there again. I'm so proud of everything that they're doing. But I think in this world right now, it's just about communication and having people work towards their goals and not get stuck, not really get complacent. But we're still providing information and trying to move our department forward even during these tough times. And all that helps. If you have a goal that we're always working for, I think that will help us get through a lot of our situations. And I'll go back to being around people. I'm so thankful for our Bobcat family. Our coaches, our student athletes, and our staff. We're so used to working together, and that hasn't stopped during this time. And I think more so, we have just found ways to adapt. And I can't thank our people enough for being able to kind of throw themselves out there and just do it, right? And just get things done. And that's the kind of attitude, and that's the kind of thought process that's going to help accomplish a lot of things here down the road as well. And we've already accomplished a lot, but there's a lot more to accomplish. And it just reaffirms that we have great people on our staff. We have great people in our department. We have great people on campus that are supporting us every step of the way. And obviously we have great fans that are supporting us as well. And all together, I use that word a lot, but together we can accomplish some great things. And we're continuing to do it in tough times.
Yeah, I mean, speaking as a member of the athletic department, I feel almost more connected to all of my coworkers at this point, just because it is so very intentional. We can't walk down the hallway and we can't do this, but certainly learned that that's not something I'm going to take for granted moving forward. So,
And
uh,
I think you hit the nail on the head right there. Is we're not taking anything for granted anymore, and I think that's hopefully what we take out of this. Hopefully there's a silver lining in any crisis or anything that we go through, any trouble that we go through, that there's a silver lining. And for me, it's going to be about being intentional about those relationships and about how we spend our day and our time and I think we do in our job, but also being intentional in what we do in our personal lives will go a long ways. And I think, and I'm already seeing it, that people cherish those relationships and they're wanting to get back to, having those relationships in the way that they're used to.
absolutely. All right, Leon, last question. Obviously, there's so many things that we just don't know yet. How do we, as an athletic department, how do you as our AD, how do we plan for the unknown?
Yeah, and I think it's a tough question because it's really hard to plan for something that you don't know, right? And I think we all have goals and we all have dreams and we all have things that we want to accomplish, and I think that doesn't change. And maybe it becomes more important in times like this, is that we have goals that we're trying to achieve each and every day. And I look at it as I try and control the things that I can control. And I was told that one time, and there are times when things can come in and bother you or upset you, but a lot of times those things are just outside of your control. And if we can control those things that we can control and not let those other things get us down, and attack each day for what it is, and attack it to accomplish the goals that we have at hand, I think those are ways in which we can continue to move forward, kind of on a small scale. And then on a grander scale is you set your goals like you would any other time. You set your dreams and things that you want to accomplish. And like I said, I don't think that changes in a time like this. And to be honest, it probably becomes more important to be able to do that. You try and you try to think about what are the things that can maybe affect what we're going to do in the future. But there's going to be things that are going to pop up, and there's going to be things that come out of the blue. But again, I think if you go back and just kind of control the things that you can control, I think that it's going to get all of us through this time and really prepare us for the time when we come out of this. And that's really kind of what I'm looking forward to is we talked a little bit about the silver linings. And, I hope that, our business as college administrators and college athletics is, we put a lot of time and focus on rules and policies and things like that. And my hope is that, we look at college athletics and sports as in a bigger light. And we look at it and say, we spent a whole lot of time and effort and energy worrying about this one little thing and we wasted all that time when we could have been doing something over here. And for me, it's not that college athletics isn't fun. I want the fun to come back into everything that we're doing. And, there's a lot of things that are always out in the public, but about new legislation and new things like that. And it takes a lot of time, but, I think being able just to sit back and look at our student athletes and watch them develop, and you can see in their eyes, you can see on their faces that their experience on campus at Montana State is an enjoyable one. Those are the things that are going to carry me through. And I hope it does for the rest of our staff. I know our coaches do. Obviously, we all like to win. And, we want to get back to that one day where we're in our stadiums, we're in our arenas, and we're winning. But I think if we just simplify it and really take a look at our own personal goals, our department goals, control what we can control, and then we say, let's go conquer the world, right?
All right, Leon, I think that's all the questions I have for you today. Anything else you want to add?
Well, I want to thank you, obviously, for setting this up again. I know we were doing this a lot in the fall. I wish we were on campus doing this, but we'll find our way through this and with the technology that we have. But I just want to reiterate how we started. And one, I want to thank our student athletes, our coaches, and our staff for all working together to get through this and to get information and things that we need to keep moving the department forward. I got to thank our frontline workers, healthcare workers, people that are providing us with the essentials to be able to live each and every day. Shout out to Bozeman Health, our team physicians, our athletic training room, who are still servicing our student athletes with any rehab or things that they need out of there, and all of our support areas from academics to strength conditioning, who are sending out information to our student athletes in order to try and keep them in some sort of shape, and our nutrition. Brittany Patera, our registered dietitian with a fueling station. All of our support areas are still continuing to provide our student athletes with the, with the information that they need. And then I just want to reiterate how much of a wonderful place that we get to live and we get to work. Montana State University is such a special place, and to see the team on campus come around everybody and be able and willing to help in this situation and get everybody through the situation, and then to have that trickle down into our department. I just feel very fortunate to be a Bobcat at this time, and I want to thank all of the fans for viewing and sending in questions, but also please know from us, we're thinking about each and every one of you during this time. And if there's any way that we can help you and support you, please reach out to us because we want to be here for you and be a resource for you. We like to get out of our norm too and just call us on the phone. We like to have a conversation, but we are thinking about you. We thank you for the support you've given us to this point and the support you're going to give us down the road. But just know from the bottom of our hearts here in Bobcat Athletics, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we love you. So go Cats.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the time, Leon. Bobcat fans, thanks for listening. Just like Leon said, we certainly appreciate the engagement. Watch for more of these videos in the next couple of weeks. We're looking forward to talking with different members of administration, our head coaches. Follow us on social media, follow our coaches, follow Leon. We love to interact with fans there and answer questions. But again, we certainly appreciate you guys, and let's go Cats.
Go Cats, go.